Telling me Natsuki's the least popular? How is she least popular? Like, how? Also, I did start where the first poem is about to be made since, well, that's where the blonde really begins. So, yeah, I just wanted to let that out. Alright, I guess this should be easy enough. I mean, it's practically my profile, so let's see if I can still remember. Anime parfait. Anger? Okay. Bubbles. Nightgown. Playground. Kitty. Yep. Valentine. Papa. Oof. Jumpy. Fluffy. No, that's a sayori word. I almost chose that. Blanket. Pure. Okie dokie. You go. Ink. Has to. No, that's a sayori word I can remember. Fantasy? Okay. Last one. Vanilla. Woo! 20 words. Fancy meeting you here, Midas. Yeah, what a coincidence, huh? Seriously speaking though, I'm happy you're back. I would have been disappointed if you ran away from us. I enjoyed myself last time, so I wouldn't like come back. True enough. Feel free to make yourself at home before we start our club activities. Will do, Monica. Will do. Well, I'm back at the Literature Club. Sayori and I were the last to come in, so everyone else is already hanging out. Midas, I'm glad to see you here again. Who knew that something so simple would warrant so much thanks? First Monica, now Yuri? I know that it may be overwhelming to be thrown into a new hobby so suddenly, much less an organization centered around that said hobby. So don't hesitate to let me know if you ever need any help. And the club members for that matter. That is to say, feel free to ask any one of us for assistance. Right. Thanks. I'll keep that in mind. Don't worry though. I feel like I've never read anything before. I only remember to write a poem for today. You'll believe it. You'll believe it when you see it. Hey, it's not like I need to have a university degree to write a poem. This was just like any other school assignment. Although, it might be a little new to me, it's not that hard. It's not hard to write a bad poem, you mean? You got me there. I just want to see your face when you read my poem, Natsuki. And that's why I never said I wrote a good poem. Natsuki smirks at me, seemingly pleased that I'm not offended by your teasing. Well, good is often subjective when it comes to subjects like these. I'm sure you did fine, Midas. Thanks for the vote of confidence. Try not to override my work though. Yeah, Yuri, if you keep your expectations low, you'll never be disappointed. Besides, I bet this is the first extracurricular Midas has done since high school started. So extra work is probably really foreign to him. Again, she's not wrong, but she doesn't have to say it like that. Natsuki, you're being unfairly harsh. Midas, what would you say your main hobbies are? Wow, she's really putting me on the spot here. I know I'm playing into your teasing right now, but yes, I spend a lot of my time playing games and watching anime. That's all you need to know. That's a bit rich coming from someone who keeps her manga collection in the club room. Natsuki splutters to a halt. Looks like a certain someone knows how to dish out but can't take it. Manga is literature! Swiftly defeated, Natsuki plops back into her seat. Don't worry, guys. Midas always gives it his best as long as he's having fun. He's always been there when I need it. When we were kids, he'd always be around to help me with stuff. Are you two childhood friends? I glanced at Sayori. Despite her sheer recollection of her childhood memories just then, Yuri's question is a reminder that we haven't spent much time together in a long time. Tad awkward. Yeah, we've known each other for a while now, haven't we? We smile at each other, really hoping we can use the club to reconnect. Such a history with one another. I imagine you've shared so much history together. So much memories together, rather. You could say that. Would you believe Sayuri is still as clumsy now as she was 10 years ago? I mean, that's not true. Oh? Did I tell Yuri about the time we tried to cook lunch and almost at the house and face turns pink and she rushes to interrupt me. Anyway, I'm sure you two could be just as good of friends. After all, you're both in the literature club now. Yeah, looking forward to it. Yuri looks hopeful at hearing this, although I can't help but wonder. Given the maturity and intelligence she carries so elegantly and how her passion for reading is much stronger than my own, will it be as easy as Sayuri think it is? Still, worth a try. Yay! Oh, Yuri even brought something for you today, you know? Wait, Sayuri? Okay, so she still gives it no matter if, even if I did choose Natsuki? Okay. Me? It's not much really. Don't be shy. It's really nothing. Whatever it is, I'm sure I'll like it. What is it, Yuri? Sayuri made it sound like a big deal when it's really not. I was going to give it to you at the appropriate time, but... Sorry, Yuri, I wasn't thinking. I ruined the surprise. Two girls looked dolefully down. I guess it means it's up for me to rescue the situation. Hey, don't you worry about it. First of all, I was not expecting anything in the first place. So this is still a pleasant surprise to me. Just knowing that you went through the effort to get me something makes me feel really welcomed. No matter what, I'm sure it'll make me happy. Is that so? Of course. Thanks for being so considerate, Yuri. You're welcome. That's the least I could do. Anyway, if that's the case, here it is. Yuri reaches into her bag and pulls out a book. I didn't want you to feel left out, so I picked out a book that I thought you might enjoy. It's a short read, so it should keep your attention, even if you don't usually read. And we could, discuss it if you wanted. I didn't know that even though I chose Natsuki, Yuri would still give you the book because remember, the first choice you ever do here is Yuri or Natsuki to ask for book recommendations, and the only reason why I skipped it is because I've done it pretty much twice now. And this is great accidentally being so cute. She even picked out a book she thinks I might possibly like, despite me not reading much. Yuri but I'm abruptly cut off by Nats. Okay, so this is new. I didn't want him to feel left out. What's that supposed to mean? Are you trying to say that he doesn't like my books or something? Because that's just not true. He freaking loves manga just like me. Right, Midas? It looks like another Yuri Natsuki argument is cropping up again. I glance over at Yuri to find a variety of different emotions running over her face. She seems conflicted between standing up for herself and backing down to keep the peace. After a beat, she opens her mouth to speak. Her resolve strengthened. Natsuki, that's not what I meant to say at all. I was simply referring to the fact that Midas may not have much of a literature collection himself. Given that he has said that he is not a reader. Giving him a book in a totally different genre would benefit him in broadening his knowledge of the literary world. Yuri suddenly appears to notice that all eyes are on her. I apologize if I worded that harshly. No, you're fine, Yuri. When I do love manga, I think that it'll do me well to read different things too once in a while. Seeming to tense that she can't win the argument, Natsuki almost visibly backs down. Her outspoken nature really does make up for her physically small stature. Oh, whatever. Natsuki. Guys, let's just stop fighting. I realize everyone's super good taste in literature, so we shouldn't keep arguing over it. I'm sure that I'll enjoy everyone's recommendations equally as much. After all, you guys are all smart. Definitely more experienced in literature than me. I'm just gonna say that I wasn't trying to attack you or whatever. I said there's a lot of people who judge manga without even trying to read it themselves. So yeah. I guess that's the closest we'll get to an apology from Natsuki. With that, the tension in the room slowly dissipates. It feels like as though everyone in the room was holding in their own breath until now. Yuri quietly hands me the copy of the book she's holding. Well, thanks Yuri. You're welcome. You should read it at your own pace. I look forward to hearing what you think. After a brief pause, the girls move on to do their own things. Man, I seem to be a harbinger of awkwardness when it comes to Natsuki and Yuri. Now that everyone settled in, I expected Monica to pick up the scheduled activities for the club. Like the poetry thing. I've already steeled myself for the critic I'll probably be receiving. But it seems that we have some downtime before then. Ah, well. Looks like I won't be able to just immediately get it over with. What are the others doing right now? Sayori and Monica are having a cheery conversation in the corner. We're discussing club matters, given that they're president and vice president. I'll explain that Yuri's face is already buried in a book. I can't help but notice her intense expression, like she was waiting for this chance. Meanwhile, Natsuki is rummaging around in the closet. A few huffs of annoyance sound from her direction every once in a while. I hear a sigh from the closet, presumably Natsuki. Sounds like she's annoyed by something. I approach her, curious. Hey, something wrong? Frickin' Monica. She moved my stuff again! I spent all this time organizing my collection and she comes in and ruins it! As she complains, Natsuki carefully slides boxes and stacks of books across the shelf. Once they're in orderly fashion, she turns around and faces me. Do you have my manga? Yeah. Here, let me get it. I quickly retrieved the book Natsuki lent me yesterday and handed it to her. She examines the cover and the pages, looking for any sort of damage. After finding nothing, she slides the novel into its rightful place in one of the boxes. Told ya I took care of my manga. Yeah, don't let it get in your head. Still need to pass the quiz before we can start the next one. You're serious? What? You thought I was joking? Here at the Nature Club, we take reading very seriously. Now sit down and get ready. Alright. I sit down at the desk while Natsuki sits parallel in front of me. Alright, first question. Which girl ends up falling down the stairs in chapter 7? I didn't really get that far. The expression that comes over Natsuki's face honestly scares me a little. How do you not finish? The first volume is like the shortest one out of all of them. I'm sorry. I was working back home for most of the night, so I couldn't have time to read it. Natsuki's expression changes from that anger to disbelief. Your poem? Yeah, I put some effort into it. A lot of effort, Natsuki. Natsuki eyeballs me suspiciously before sighing. Fine. I guess we can read it here. But your poem better be really good. Yeah. I have a little experience with writing in general, much less poems. So I fear that Natsuki will only get angry at me when she sees my lackluster writing abilities. But that's a problem we'll deal with later. Right now I have to finish volume 1 of Parfait Girls. Natsuki heads to the closet to retrieve the novel once again. She comes back, manga in hand, and points to the floor. Are you gonna sit there? Why? Because it's a lot easier than trying to read in chairs. That doesn't really make any sense. Just do it, okay? No need to argue over every little thing. I wasn't arguing. I stopped myself short when I realized I'm probably just getting on Natsuki's nerves. If possible, I'd like to try and avoid making her angry. Alright. You're just as cute as ever. I sit down next to Natsuki while she hands me the novel. I flip open the part where I left off, but Natsuki speaks up before I can begin. You only got that far? Well, I may have watched some anime last night too. Natsuki furrows her eyebrows at me. I quickly start reading as to avoid another scolding. Still, does this have like an overarching plot or some sort? Of course it does, you dummy. Why do you think I don't have good taste? I have standards, you know. Hey, I never said you didn't think you had good taste. It's just nothing has really happened yet. It's just one-off side story so far. Well, that's just to help you get to know the characters. Like the chapter where they're at the shopping mall. It gives you a better idea of what each girl's like and don't like. There's an overarching plot, but the first volume is more like an introduction to the characters. I've read the entire series, so I know what happens. Alright, I guess I'll take your word for it. Sure do like this series now, don't you? Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I can see why. It does have a lot of baking in it. Yeah... Coincidence? Don't get the wrong idea, I didn't start baking just because of this manga. Don't worry, I believe you. Not. Well, I guess that explains Natsuki's interest in baking. She is really good at it though. Does not think it's a bad thing. We continue reading for a while before I reach the end of the novel. As I close the book, Natsuki snatches it from my hands and heads to the closet. She places the novel in its rightful spot and digs around for the second volume. So, did you enjoy it? Yeah, I did actually. It's a bit slow right now, but if you say it's true, it'll start getting good in the second volume. Speaking of which, Natsuki proudly holds up the second volume. Let's get started. Wait, okay everyone, it's time to share poems. If that isn't good timing, I don't know what is. Seriously? We were just about to start the second one. Well, you can't always read it tomorrow now, can't you? Fine. Natsuki, defeated, puts her manga back in the closet and retrieves her poem. I grab mine from my bag as well. By the way, you did remember to write a poem, right? Don't worry, I'm not that much of a slacker. I've got it right here in my bag. I rifled through some stray papers to pull out the page that I wrote my poem on. But I can't help but feel a little nervous. I have to admit that I'm excited now. Talking to these girls has really calmed my nerves, and now I'm just eager to share my poem. After all, judging by each girl's personality, I doubt that anyone would say anything nasty about it. Well, Natsuki, I don't know. If she's unduly harsh though, she just seems like the type of person who enjoys ripping on her friends. Either way, I hope they realize that I put hard work into it. I figure that it'll only be fair to repay their warm welcome by showing effort in club activities. Now that everyone's ready, why don't you find someone to share with? I can't wait! Sayori and Monica enthusiastically pull out their poems. Sayori is on a wrinkled sheet of loose leaf torn from a spiral notebook, and Monica wrote hers in a neat black composition notebook. I can already see Monica's pristine handwriting from where I sit. She's gonna put us all to shame. Natsuki and Yuri reluctantly comply as well, reaching into their bags. Monica always first. I should start with Monica. Yesterday she seemed eager to read my poem and I want her to know that I'm putting effort. Hi Midas! Hope you've been enjoying your time here. Yeah, definitely. I probably sound like a broken record right now, but everyone's been really welcoming. Well, a broken record isn't so bad when it plays something so nice. I guess so. Anyway, since you're new and everything, feel free to bring up any questions or concerns you might have. It's my duty as president to make sure that everything is perfect. I'd have to say that you've been doing a good job of that already, and I'll never have anything to complain about. Either way, I'm always open to new suggestions for the club as well. So don't be afraid to bring things up, okay? Right? I'll keep that in mind. She says that, but it's gonna be a bit intimidating to try and criticize Monica of all people. I really don't think that there's going to be anything I'll need to speak up about either. One of the other girls would probably say something before I ever need to. Natsuki definitely would. Now that that's out of the way, feel like sharing your poem with me. I mean, I don't really have a choice in the matter now, do I? Haha, you shouldn't be thinking of that. Yeah, I was just joking. Kinda. It's alright, Midas. I get that it's probably really awkward for you to share a creative work when you're just a beginner. Especially since the rest of us have a bit more experience than you do. That's an understatement. Don't worry though, we're all a little embarrassed today. You know, I don't think many people out there share their poetry on a regular basis, but it's the sort of thing that you get used to pretty quickly once you get it over with. Yeah, that's true. I hand my poem to her with a sigh. Don't grade me too harshly. You'll be fine. I watch nervously as she quickly scans through my poem. It's a nice poem, Midas. You think? Although I have to say it's a lot cuter than something I would have expected out of you. Is that bad? No, of course not. It's just something that I would have thought of Natsuki would write, for instance. She's a good writer, so you should take that as a compliment. I see. I don't know, I guess I was in a cutesy sort of mood or something. You have a cute side as well? Well, that's not what I was trying to say. I meant that I was thinking of more cheery stuff. Or something. I get it. But still, have you read anything by Shel Silverstein? It sounds familiar. Maybe when I was a kid. My mom used to tell me, or used to take me to the library when I was little, so... Well, he wrote a lot for children, so I wouldn't be surprised if you did. He was famous for using simple words and conversation tones to tell all sorts of stories. His poems are a variety of different lengths and cover a range of different emotions. They could be funny, endearing, sad. Even though most people think of him as a children's author and poet, many of his works express universal views of the world. And he actually wrote some black comedy as well, so you could see that he was pretty good at subverting expectations. Interesting. So Natsuki is kinda like that then. You could say that. She's not quite the Renaissance man that Silverstein is, but you probably won't find much filler in her poems. They may seem easy enough to read on the surface, but they can pack a lot of meaning in very few words. I see. It's definitely a type of poem that's fun to explore. I'm sure I'll end up doing a lot of things before I settle on my own style. And it'll still take a while before I'm completely comfortable sharing my writing. That's perfectly fine. In fact, I'd probably be more surprised if you immediately started writing in your own style. Most people go through the same process that you're going through right now. Trying new things is the best way to find the kind of style that suits you, after all. Anyway, when you talk to everyone about it, naturally they'll be a bit biased towards their own kinds of style. After all, I know I am. But don't force yourself to write in some way just because someone else wants you to. Believe me, I'm writing because I want Natsuki to be happy. And because that's what I want. You should try to focus on what you want to do. I am. Feel free to ask me for any help though. I'll try to be as objective as possible when I try to talk to people about these topics. Or when I talk to people, rather. Thanks. I'll keep that in mind. Anyway, do you want to read my poem now? Don't worry, I'm not very good. You sound pretty confident for someone who claims to not be very good. Well, that's cause I have to sound confident. It doesn't mean that I always feel that way, you know? Judy? Always on Judy. Huh. Well, let's get reading then. So, what do you think? I don't quite know how to say it. Sorry, I'm not the right person to ask for feedback. It's okay. I definitely get a certain kind of feeling from reading a poem, but I'm not sure how to put it into words. I can understand that. Just try to articulate it however you want. You can use metaphors outside of poetry, you know? Well, when you put it like that, I don't know. I guess I'd say that your poem is kind of abstract. Very vague at least. Like I can't quite tell what exactly you're talking about, but even so, I can feel what the speaker is feeling. Yeah, I think that describes my poem very well. Really? I do like my metaphors. Well, you'd probably be hard-pressed to find a poem without a metaphor, actually. They're pretty well covered in English class at least. The ability to convey emotions and concepts through words describing things even a writer might never have experienced before. I find that really powerful. When you write metaphorically, it allows the reader to focus on the emotions in the poem. I guess it kind of opens up for the writer to have their own interpretations? Exactly. It's fascinating when people can diverge from the creator's original intent to find their own meaning in a work of art. Yeah. What was your original intent then? I think it'd be more fun if you tried to figure it out yourself. That just makes me more curious now. Maybe I'll tell you one day. But for now, here's Malaka's writing tip of the day. Sometimes when you're writing a poem or anything for that matter, you get too fixated on one specific point. But if you try so hard to make it perfect, then you'll never make any progress. So the best thing to do is to just force yourself to get something down on paper and then tidy it up later. Another way to think about it is, if you keep your pen in the same spot for too long, you just get a dark puddle of ink. So just move your hand and write whatever's in your heart. Easier said than done. I get what she's trying to say though. It's better to look back on your work with fresh eyes after you've gotten something done sometimes. That's my advice for today. Thanks for listening. Sayori's next, then Yuri, and then Natsuki. I wonder what Yuri will say. First, our friend, our childhood friend. You said this is your first poem, right? Yeah. Why? It impressed me. Okay. Especially for your first poem. Maybe this really is the place for you. Come on, it's not that good. I mean, it's not like I'm used to writing poems or anything. But thanks, I guess. Don't be so hard on yourself, Midas. Everyone has to start from somewhere. You're already off to a good start. Anyway, I'll just show you mine now. Don't expect too much though. I'm not very good at this. Only one way to find out. Dear sunshine. Ah. This pretty much takes me back, even though it's only been a few days since I've done it. So you were out. It exceeded my expectations nonetheless. It's pretty good. Well, what do you think? I hesitate as I answer. It's not like it was a bad poem, in fact it was great. I'm just really inexperienced with poetry, especially feedback. It's really you. What is that supposed to mean? As in, the poem just really reminds me of you. It made me really feel good inside. Really? Yeah. I had no idea what to expect as this is my first time reading your poetry. But the way this was written, I don't know, it feels really wholesome and cheery. Like you are. I also really like the last line. Just you of all people to include breakfast in their poems. I was eating when I wrote... Sayori starts speaking immediately as if accidentally let something slip. So I write this poem this morning. No. Well, maybe. I forgot to write it last night. Well, at least we know where your inspiration comes from. Eggs and toast. Well, I suppose if it sounds silly but it works, then it isn't silly. Either way, thanks for showing me your poem, Sayori. It looks really good. I'm happy you think so. Anyways, next time, I won't forget. Tomorrow's poem will be even better. I'll hold you to that. I don't know what Yuri will say. Already there's a bad expression on her face. Yuri stares at the poem. A minute passes, more than enough time for her to finish reading. Is everything okay, Yuri? Oh goodness, sorry. I know what I want to convey, but I need to find the right words. I understand. Take your time. Okay, I think I know what I want to say. Do you have any prior writing experience? To be honest, not really. Is it that obvious? I don't mean to be rude, but I guess it might be after reading through it. So it's that bad. No! Did I just raise my voice? So sorry. Yuri buries her face in her hands. I couldn't help but notice that it's been several minutes and you really haven't gotten anywhere. Yuri seems to be incredibly introverted. Must take her a long time to warm up to new people. Don't worry about it. You all start somewhere, right? What were you saying? Right. I just noticed a few qualities consistent with newer writers that showed up in your poem. Perhaps what stands out the most is that you've tried very hard to make the structure of this poem your own. And that's okay. But if this is the first poem you've written, it might be prudent to consider more traditional structures. Couplets, sonnets, haiku, and the like. If you're not confident in your writing style, it'll show in your piece. It's like Yuri's a totally different person once she gets going. She sounds incredibly confident and stands tall, speaking clearly. Again, it's not your fault. I think that once you've studied poetic structures and techniques a bit more, you'll be able to pull together a really wonderful composition. I appreciate the feedback, Yuri. It sounds like you're well versed in this sort of thing. Would it be okay if I took a look at what you've written? Oh goodness, of course! Please let me know what you think. I'll be thrilled to explain my process. Yuri smiles dreamily as if that's a rare opportunity for her, which itself is kind of funny. After all, isn't this supposed to be a literature club? Seeing their poems doing nothing for me except make me excited because I really like how they fleshed out the girls, and I wonder what they did to Natsuki. I'm sorry if my writing's a bit illegible. Once my pen touches the page, Actually, among all the girls, I like yours and Monica's handwriting the most. Want to get my thoughts down? It's fine, Yuri. I was able to read it just fine. I wasn't thinking that at all. Are you sure? It seemed to take you a while while I read it. Or while you read it, rather. While you read it, sorry. I guess I don't see cursive often. But it's really nice when I do. Your writing actually is quite pretty. Is that so? I'm glad you think so. It made your poem stand out even more as well. It's as though your handwriting fits your word choice or vice versa. It wasn't too short now, was it? I'm used to writing longer pieces, but this is the first time we're sharing. I thought it would be easier to share, since it is the first time. That makes sense. Do you mind telling me what it's about, though? I'm not sure I understand. Sorry, I didn't mean to write something so confusing. Oh, it's not that. I just want to make sure I'm reading it properly. I see. I suppose from a cursory glance it might be not obvious. It might not be obvious. Sorry. But part of what makes poetry magical is how you can conjure up a vivid image of your words. While on the surface it might seem a bit out there, if you look a little deeper, you might find that a deeper meaning hidden amongst the lines, compounded by the metaphors used. For example, the words and images in this poem aren't meant to be taken at face value. In actuality, it's supposed to represent the last remnants of something lost in the past, and a sense of plaintive longing that comes with it. That's pretty impressive if you put it that way. I wouldn't go that far, but thanks for the compliment. Hopefully during your time here your understanding of poetry will grow, and these things will come to you naturally. I'll do my best. Thank you for sharing with me, Yuri. Of course. Here we go! Natsuki. Natsuki? What? Hey, don't make it seem like I'm spacing out. Just... Okay, let's start with what I don't like. First of all, Natsuki rereads my poem again. Ha! Actually, never mind. I don't feel like giving you my opinion. And what's the point in sharing at all? Don't literature clubs like share constructive criticism or something? No, it's just... Natsuki fails to come back with a follow-up. She's obviously uncomfortable about something. But from what I've seen, it's certainly not about giving criticism. Hey, this is my first time sharing my poems too. It's a bit uncomforting for all of us. But we should still try and help each other. It's not that. I'd feel more comfortable if your poems was really bad. I could be like, not that bad, but here's what the work of a real poet looks like. But... Oh, I understand what she means now. She's so comfortable because she liked my poem and doesn't know how to compliment me. Aha! I have outsmarted you, Natsuki. I get what you mean. Natsuki looks relieved at my statement. Can I see your poem now? Fine! Only because Monica's gonna make me either way. Told you you'd hate it. Actually, I like it. What? Don't just say that just because I'm a girl. Be honest. No, it has nothing to do with you being a girl. I genuinely like the poem. Really? Yeah. It's simple, but it's pretty effective. Finally, someone who gets it! People in high school think poetry has to be so formal and vague. But I don't realize that simple writing is just as effective, if not more. The reader shouldn't have to search for the meaning. That's just stupid. Besides, the simpler the writing, the more emphasis on wordplay. Like how I made most of the lines start with some. Yeah, I noticed that. Made the last couplet seem more powerful. That's exactly what I was going for. Well, good job then. Ha! Didn't expect it from the youngest of the club, did ya? Yeah, guess not. Phew. Guess that's everyone. I glance around the room. That was surprisingly fun, albeit a bit stressful. I knew that I wouldn't be able to write to the quality of the girls, but I tried my best. Everyone here is incredibly talented. Well, all the girls at least. Across the room, Sayori and Monica are happily chatting again. My eyes land on Yuri and Natsuki. They gingerly exchange sheets of paper, sharing their respective poems. As I watch, Natsuki breezes through Yuri's poem, her eyes skipping over the words. Meanwhile, Yuri stares at the paper in her hands, smiling sadly. Natsuki quickly hands Yuri her poem back. Here. Done. Already? Yeah. It's not like it was super hard to read. I'm not illiterate, you know. It was hard for me to understand at least. I just want to make sure that you caught all the figurative language and I employed. Yeah, I did. It was fancy. Thanks. However, I believe that you'd enjoy it more if you looked super deep into it. I enjoyed plenty already. Anyway, may I finish my poem then? Yes, yours is... cute. Cute? Did you not learn anything from our conversation yesterday? Yuri looks shocked, regret seeping into her expression. Seems like both girls still hold their own prejudices. Sorry. Sorry. Despite whatever common ground they have. How can it be cute? You're standing there, thinking that I haven't read your poem, when it's really you who has read my poem. It's clear about the push and pull between giving up and trying hard. I know that. And I just meant the language, I guess. Well, maybe you should look deeper into my poem, because I used that type of language on purpose. I see. But if I may have a suggestion, these more involved subject matters may be better suited for more complex diction. The art of poetry is deeply intertwined with... Look, I know what you're trying to do, but it won't work on me. I'm sorry, but I don't quite understand. Writing this way doesn't make you look cool or smart, okay? It just makes you look super pretentious. If you write without the stars open next to you, you're just going to alienate everyone. Using all these big words to make up for the lack of depth. Poetry isn't about impressing people, so you can just stop. Holy crap! I stare wide-eyed at Monica and Sayuri, who have also fallen silent. They stare back at me, looking unsure of what to do. I'm guessing that they don't usually have many arguments in the club. Although tensions between Natsuki and Yuri already seemed kind of high. Lack of depth. Yeah, that's right. So if I can give some suggestions now. Excuse me. I appreciate the offer, but I must really ask. What makes you believe that I'll respect your advice? I'll accept your advice after you've been so rude to me. Huh? Rude? That was just blunt honesty. Do you ever consider that other people don't hold the same opinions as you? What are you trying to say? Do I really need to spell it out for you? Yeah, you do. I want to see if you're really going there. The irony. I dare you to say it. Yuri gives a small laugh of disbelief. I must thank you, Natsuki. I've never been this angry in my life. It's actually giving me the courage to speak up. Is this why you're angry all the time? Guess you shouldn't. This doesn't involve you. Sayori, please don't rob me of my moment. So this is your moment to shine or something? Strange thing to take pride in, don't you think? No. It's my moment to finally speak my mind. But I still have the strength to. Yuri... Natsuki, have you ever realized how selfish you are? Suddenly, Yuri seems to be overpowering everyone else in the room. What? Everything always needs to go your way. You always jump to conclusions and make rash decisions rather than regard for the consequences. Or without regard for the consequences. It's never your fault now, is it? You don't know me. No, you don't know me either. And yet you spoke as if you knew something about me. Or you knew everything about me for that matter. Quite simply, you don't. The very fact that you don't think that your blunt honesty was incredibly rude just goes to show how narrow-minded you truly are. Seizing her moment, Yuri boldly carries on, disdain dripping from each word. I know it must be difficult for you to understand, but the whole world doesn't revolve around you and your manga. So tell me, why should I take advice from someone who can only see their own perspective? Everyone knows it. Monica, Sayori, even Midas. Don't you remember how hostile you were to Midas when you first joined us? I wasn't being hostile, we haven't had a new member in a long time. Sorry for not keeping you on my toes. That's how I talk to everyone, not just to Midas. Am I supposed to change my whole personality to cater to how you think that I should be? If Midas has a problem with my jokes, he can tell me. You don't get to speak for him. Yuri closes her eyes and shakes her head, carrying on as if she didn't hear the outburst. Do you really expect a new member to be able to speak up so easily? Not everyone is unafraid of being a brutish cretin like you. The rest of us were so excited to have a new member, but didn't that thought ever cross your mind? No. You just had their own selfish thoughts dictate your behavior. Selfish? They weren't You could have scared them off. That might have been what you wanted, but what about the rest of us? I just explained myself for God's sake, but as per usual, you aren't listening. You know, for someone who's been ranting about how narrow-minded I am, you're pretty intolerant yourself. There, I used a big word. Do I sound like Shakespeare yet? Am I worthy of your attention now? Ouch. Both girls have their claws out. Also, my Sir didn't have any issue with me yesterday. It's just you. Of course they did, Natsuki. They just didn't say anything. Monica's too responsible and Sayori's too kind. So why don't we ask Midas then? As the more unbiased spectator. Fine! Midas, who's right? Midas or me or Yuri? Sorry, you're in that as Midas, but it's me. Midas was right. Me or Yuri? Did they get dragged into this in the first place? I don't even know what they want me to decide on at this point. Should I just ignore all the personal stuff and just talk about the poetry? That's what started the argument after all. Isn't like I'm a good judge of writing quality, given that I'm just a beginner. I don't think it would be fair for me to take either side either, especially since I'm new here. Maybe I should defer to one of the club leaders. So of course it's going to be... Monica, please sort this out. I honestly don't know what to do in this situation. I quickly glance over to Monica. Monica nods at me and approaches the two girls. Yuri and Natsuki, this is... She clears her throat. Is it just me, or did her confident persona seem to waver a bit? This is no way to act in our club. Monica does seem sort of disoriented. She's probably not used to such confrontation. You're kind of setting a bad example. Midas is probably really uncomfortable. Not to mention that there's really no reason for this argument to be happening. But Monica... No, I can't have this in the club. Are you kidding me? Don't you see how Yuri is treating me? He's being a massive jerk right now. There's so much reason for this argument. Excuse me, Natsuki. That is actually your own toxic behavior that led to this. Yuri really emphasized that toxic bit. Toxic behavior? What are you talking about? Are you even listening to yourself? This is exactly why no one wants to be your... Enough! This is probably... I don't know if I don't remember or this is the first time I've seen Monica's face like this. Monica seems to have gotten over herself and now looks livid. You guys are supposed to be friends, aren't you? It's so foolish how you two are acting. Don't you have any consideration for the other club members? You're even making Midas uncomfortable. Yuri, didn't you say yourself that you wanted to make him feel as welcome as possible? What happened to that? I didn't mean to make him feel that way. And don't forget Sayori. She always acts in everyone's best interest. While you two act like this? I wasn't trying anything either. And I was just being honest, Yuri is... Let me finish, Natsuki. I would like you to please reconsider the way you are treating one another. You guys are obviously talented with your own writing, and and you both have unique aspects to your own writing styles. That's what makes you guys special. To be fair, I'm obviously not good in handling situations like this, but there's a sudden pause for a minute, and I decide to break the silence. I agree with Monica. Fighting only causes everyone to split apart, and to be honest, I really like it here. And I believe if there's any resentment held over, it just won't be the same. Both girls are speechless. Yuri's the first one to speak. I'm just going to make tea. Natsuki remains silent and takes a seat, only to stare into nothingness. I slide next to Sayori. Man, I can see why she's president. Yeah, she is pretty great. Even though she doubts herself, I think she handled it pretty well. Monica seems like such a genuine sweet girl. Hopefully I'll be able to properly get to know her during the school year. Okay everyone, it's just about time for us to leave. How did you all feel about sharing your poetry? I noticed that she's carefully avoiding mentioning the argument that just occurred. It was a lot of fun. Some moments were worth it. It was alright. Well, mostly. Midas, how about you? I actually enjoyed it myself. It seems I do like expressing myself through poetry. A lot more than I initially thought. Everyone looks intently at me, the girls smiling at me. It was really cool getting to see everyone's different writing styles. That's awesome. In that case, we'll do the same thing tomorrow. And hopefully you learned something from us too. So your poems will turn out even better. Yeah, I think to myself a bit as I begin to pack up. Today I managed to learn a little more about the kinds of poems that everyone likes. With any luck, I'll be able to learn more about the girls as individuals through their themes and messages. I nod to myself, turning to Sayori. Ready to walk home, Sayori? Sure. Okay. See you guys tomorrow then. As we leave the club room, Sayori turns to wave at the girls. I do the same. Natsuki smiles and quickly looks away to act like she doesn't care. Yuri smiles and nods. And as expected from the school idol, Monica gives a friendly grin and waves back. What just happened? Sayori, about what happened earlier. What do you mean? You know, between Yuri and Natsuki? I remember you told me yesterday that they sometimes bicker, but are all their arguments normally that bad? I feel a little guilty as I look at her. Or as I ask her rather. As I know she doesn't like talking about conflict. There's a slight dip in the cheeriness of her voice as she replies. No, not at all. They have their differences, but this is the first time I've ever seen them fight like that. They're both wonderful people, I promise. You don't hate them or anything, do you? Not at all. It's normal for people to argue, I guess. I was just curious. After all, you know them better than I do. Sayuri lets out a relieved sigh. You know, Midas, it's been so nice seeing you again. I didn't really think we'd get much time to talk to one another again. Tell me about it. It's been really fun hanging out again. I don't really know what we started. Drifted away. Or why? Guess it was just life coming to us. She nods, looking at it reflective. Still, I'm glad you let me join your club. I'm not gonna lie, at first I was a bit doubtful when you told me it was about literature. But hey, I guess it just goes to show that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. She giggles and I frown. Did I say something funny? You got that one from Natsuki, didn't you? What? Right, she did say that yesterday. Saya might be known as a bit of an airhead, but sometimes she can really notice things that others don't. Wonder, what's it really like inside her head? You never changed at all, Midas. You always knew how to make me laugh. I blush slightly. I've never really known how to react to that compliment, especially when it comes to someone of the opposite sex. I'm glad that I'm still able to do that. I'll be honest though, I didn't think I'd make so many new friends by joining the club. Well, they're a really nice bunch. I'm not surprised. A pretty warm welcome. She nods contentedly. Anyway, let's see what the future holds. I'll see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow, Midas. These girls are all interesting characters, aren't they? Different personalities and a variety of writing styles. Yet they're all united under the same club. I briefly wonder how Monica found them all. In just 2 days, I feel like I've made progress with each member. Getting to know Yuri and Natsuki, actually getting to talk to Monica in a little bit, and of course reuniting with an old friend. I never would have guessed this would all come from joining the club. But hey, I'm not complaining. Let's just hope my writing improves over time so I can write poems to that standard more like theirs. Speaking of which, here's writing to be done tonight. Let's do this.